Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special playoff version of Mind Your Puckin' Business. Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks, from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Pucking Business podcast brought to you by our good friends at the Bamboozle Project as well as DraftKings. Check out the bamboozleproject.com. Get all your MYPB gear and all the other cool stuff that they sell on their website. And when you go to checkout, use those four magic letters, MYPB, and save yourself 20% off your entire order. It is a steal of a deal, and you will enjoy what they're selling on the site. We thank DraftKings as always. This is episode 151. Oh, boy. Episode number 151. I did. It got harder. Episode 151. Ciento sin 41. I apologize in advance to those using the SAP feature of the broadcast and just tuned in and heard me butcher that. I apologize. I will try to do better next week. You can send your questions at any time to mypbshow@gmail.com, or you can certainly DM us on the Instagram platform. Speaking of the Instagram platform, we are live today on Instagram platform right now. I see that we are up and rolling up there. So feel free to check us out, watch the show live, send us any questions throughout the show. You can also watch the show on YouTube. We have plenty of people in that room already sending in some stuff I see. And you can stream it at any time at your convenience on both Apple Podcast or Spotify. Did we get it all?
Absolutely.
Did we get it all? I think we did. You know, we have a lot of stuff like before we can ever get into anything, we can, we have to run through a lot of stuff. And I see some comments already that are, I'm going to have to.
You don't want to say that one?
We'll get to that one. We'll get to it in a minute.
We'll
get to it in a minute. All right, so playoff hockey is underway. The Rangers obviously up 2-0 in the series. Let's recap a little bit. We'll do a little bit on game one, a little bit more on game two, and then going forward. Game one, first period the other day on Sunday, was exactly how, if you were a Washington Capitol fan, you would want the team to play. Low shot totals bore you to death. The Rangers get 3 goals in a quick span, led by Matt Rempe in the second period, and really kind of held on and won that game, played well. The breakaway goal by Kreider, 4-1 final. A move on to last night. Last night, there's more to talk about and analyze in last night's game than there was in game one. Early on in the game last night, kind of a bad defensive coverage breakdown in the defensive zone led to an early goal by Washington. And what was interesting to me was the Rangers tied it on a Trocheck tip. But if you notice when they tied it, it was right off of a faceoff when the ref missed a blatant trip on Mika Zibanejad. I don't get on reffing. It's not what I do at all, but it just was a missed call. I don't really think that one was arguable. So here you are. You have a team down 1-0. Kylan frustrated. The referees just missed a goal. And as this team does, they show you the resolve that it's had all year, battle through that exact situation, and tie the game. Mika Zibanejad scores, makes it 2-1, and at the end of the first, and then goes into the second period. We're going to talk about Matt Rempe in a minute here. I've had enough. I've literally had enough. Washington ties the goal off of a power play, off of an unnecessary penalty by the aforementioned Matt Rempe, and the Rangers go on and get 2 really nice goals. Roslovic finally shows up. And then also the goal by Keandre Miller that was shorthanded. The tic-tac-toe passing was just unbelievable. Whether you're a Ranger fan or you're a Capital fan or you're just a hockey fan, that's the type of goal you appreciate. Now, what you don't like is in the third period, the Rangers were up 4-2. They sat back. They got to 4-3. And in the last 2.5 minutes, why does this franchise do this, right? Mm-hmm. They never make anything easy. True. Ever.
True. Are you going down the Matt Rempe road right now?
We will in a minute. Oh, okay. We will in a minute. Trust me, it's on there.
What part of the game are we talking about?
We're talking about the last 2 minutes. You're up 4-3, and the Rangers here, as this team is always not this team. I'm going to make it even a stronger statement. This franchise always does.
Yes.
They struggle to clear the puck in the defensive situations.
True.
They had at least, and I know this is going to sound like an exaggeration, but I actually went back and watched the last 2 minutes this morning because I wanted to make sure I was right on this. They had 6 chances in that whole last 2.5 minute debacle to clear the puck out of the zone and couldn't do so.
Yeah.
And 4 of those 6, right? This is the most amazing point. 4 of those 6 chances, it wasn't like it was an obstructed clear, like someone deflected it. No, you had a clear shot to get the puck out of the zone and couldn't do so.
Yeah.
There was no reason that this game should have even been close. Now,
with an empty net.
With an empty net, which is another mistake by Jimmy Vesey, but we'll let that go for a minute. Here's the other thing. And someone brought this up. We did a post-game show last night, and someone brought up a good question. And it was, hey, are you concerned that these games are close? Are you annoyed that it was 4-3 and it wasn't 7-1? And the answer to that is no, I don't care at all. In the playoffs, I just want to win, right? I don't care if they win 7-0. I don't care if they win 7-6. I don't care if they win 1-0. It means in the playoffs, I could care less what the score is. Did you win a game? That's all that matters. But the point is that, again, last night, like just the inability to clear the puck out of the defensive zone in a key situation versus a team that is also not very offensive was frustrating.
Yes.
Certainly, for sure. So
just so you know, make sure you have it. Make sure you're logged in because I'm not seeing comments. We have to fix this. But
on Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm seeing them.
Okay, good.
Well, I got them on my thing. Yeah, there's a lot of people here.
Okay.
We're going to get to them. Yeah. All right. So that is it for game 2. The series now shifts to DC here. No, I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it. I'm doing like an overview coverage for you. I know where you want to go because you actually texted me about it.
I got more than just him.
Okay. All right. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. And we'll get people's questions as well. A couple things so far before the series shifts to DC. Last night, again, we have said that the Rangers, and not we have said, anyone who follows hockey said all season long that this is not a team that plays well at 5-on-5. 3 of their 4 goals last night were specialty team goals. You had the 2 power play goals, Zibanejad and Roslovic, and then you had the shorthanded goal by Miller. At some point in the playoffs, if this team is lucky to go further down the road, you're going to have to score on 5-on-5. You cannot rely on special teams to the level that this team is relying on special teams. It has not burnt them yet, but at some point it is going to, because your power play is not going to click every time, and your penalty kill is not going to kill every penalty, and you're not going to get shorthanded goals like you got last night. So the 5-on-5 lack of production is still certainly a concern to me, to say the least, and something going forward. Go ahead.
How about the shorthanded? I felt like, especially in the second period, our shorthanded play was top notch. We were getting shots on net. We were pushing the puck. What do you think of the shorthanded play?
I was good. What I liked about the shorthanded goal was, if you watch, it was made off of an aggressive read in the neutral zone on Ovechkin. Actually, is what created that. So I like that. So. Yeah, no, look, whenever you can get a shorthanded goal is just a bonus, right? Because you go into these things when you're shorthanded, you're not thinking to score. You're thinking, hey, let me spend the next 2 minutes just trying to kill and hopefully not get scored on. To get a goal is a massive win, and it's also a huge confidence boost as well. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to say something that people are going to, well, here's the thing. People are going to be annoyed, or people are going to agree. And you say, well, that's pretty stupid, right? People are on two sides of this story. I have now had enough of Matt Rempe. What I saw last night is so frustrating that it is okay. We spoke weeks ago, the Devils game, regular season. We're not in playoff mode and all that stuff yet, right? And he took penalties twice, 2 Devil games, 2 5-minute majors. Rangers had the lead. And we said, those are the kinds of things that can turn the game around, right? You can't do that. You have to control yourself. That is a liability if you play like that in the playoffs. What happens last night? The Rangers are up 2-1 in the second period. And at the 3:44 mark of the second period, Matt Rempe takes an unnecessary roughing penalty. What happens? It leads to Dylan Strome tying the game on a power play. It's unacceptable. Are we trying? Here's my question for Ranger fan. Okay, here's the question. Yes. And it's going to sound harsh. Yes. Are we trying to win a Stanley Cup, or are we trying to root for a fan favorite? What is it we're trying to do?
Well, I think now that he's been playing this rough and tough type of play, that people are acting when they get hit by him, and now he's target. So it may not even be a penalty, but now he has that X on his back.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I'm fine with that. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that because I didn't think the penalty he took in the first minute and a half of game one was really a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
It was borderline.
Yeah.
Now, I could also argue and tell you that you shouldn't put yourself in that situation a minute into game one of a playoffs that you could even be called for a penalty. But I'll give you that.
Yeah.
To be sent to the box for a roughing penalty in a playoff game when you're up 2-1 that the team then goes on and scores. And at that point, you also need to keep in mind when the Rangers were up 2-1, and Joe Micheletti kept illustrating this last night, the Rangers were completely controlling the play. Washington wasn't getting anything going on. So all you did was take a stupid penalty to give the other team an opportunity to score on the power play, and they did, and turn that game around. Now, thankfully, again, playoffs, we don't care about scores. I don't. I just care if they won. They won. So it doesn't end up biting them like it could have. But at what, like, I've had enough. And don't come at me like these people on the postgame show last night. Oh, well, he's a goal scorer now. He's not a goal scorer. He found an empty puck that got put on his stick in front of the net the other day.
It is Rem sanity right now, and I'm not arguing what you're saying. I'm just saying now he's marked as a player. So it's like John Stockton never got called for a foul, but Dennis Rodman's going to get called for every foul. You know what I mean? Like he's marked now.
And timeout. And here's another thing that someone said last night. And I understand, but I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
They said to me on the post game, you cannot take Rempe out of the lineup because look at the team's record when Rempe's in the lineup. Okay, fair, right?
Okay.
The team is so good. The team is basically the same record without him in the lineup. They won the President's Cup. They didn't win the President's Trophy because of Matt Rempe.
Zabinajad was replacing Rempe in the fourth line at the end of the game last.
They were moving some things around. Yes, Rempe could never. When you're up 4-3 in a playoff game, that dude can be doing the waters or something else because he cannot. It's too much of a liability.
Yes.
But I've had enough. Like and I'm not sitting here like screaming like, you know, Johnny Brodzinski or something like that should be put in his place. So like I'm calling for someone in particular. It's just too much of a liability.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing?
Yeah.
It's not funny anymore.
Yeah. Well,
I don't understand
whether he's on his behavior or not. He's now a marked player, and Chris is saying it right now. The calls were weak, but
the calls were weak. Chris is not wrong on that, and they were questionable calls. However, he still put himself in a position where he is a marked man, and he knows that, and he's out there on the ice, and his team is up by 1 goal in a playoff game that they are controlling. You can't put yourself in the position that a referee can even make a call on.
You don't put him on the ice in those situations.
Or you don't put him on the ice. If you don't, well, Peter Laviolette obviously feels that he can control it because he put him on the ice. Because if he knew that Rempe's just going to go out and destroy someone and go take a 2-minute penalty, then he's not going to put him out.
My whole point is it doesn't matter if he can or can't control it. He's marked. You shouldn't put him on the ice. Don't even put like an opportunity for a ref to make a dumb call.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm at a point now where I'm just like I've had enough. Like I see him last night skating in the second half of the game after the penalty, and I'm just annoyed. Like I'm like, why? Give me something else.
What's that?
It's not Zach Jones. so don't go down that road. It's not Zach Jones. But I just like I don't know. I just feel like at some point here, you need to look at it and tell me there's got to be something else that I can do that is not this much of a liability. We'll pull up Chris's comment. If Rempe did what Oshie did after a penalty was called, then fine. But what he did should not have been called. Someone who would rather someone else in the lineup. Yeah, and Chris actually agrees with me, I think. And I agree with Chris's point that I'm not really sure they were like blatant penalties, but at the same time, don't put yourself in a position that you can do that. I thought on Sunday, I thought it was really important that Panarin scored. He had the second goal in that flurry of 3 goals. Because as we've talked about for months, as anyone has been talked about by anyone who follows the Rangers, Artemi Panarin's career in the playoffs has been bad, and it's really tried to I'll be hopeful, I guess, that he was going to play well here in the playoffs. I thought he has looked better. I know he didn't do a lot last night. He does seem confident with the puck. You see him doing some of these dangle moves that he's doing. It's a sign that he's at least confident. You did not see any of that last year versus the Devils at all. So would you like to see him get on the score sheet more? Yes. Again, I have always looked at it just the way that I evaluate hockey. In the playoffs, I don't really look at individual performances as much as I would in the regular season. I'm really just caring that they win games. But I do think if you want to look at Panarin's play so far, he has definitely shown you that he's more confident than he has been previously in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
You would agree.
Yeah. So how many? He's got a goal in each game?
He's got one goal. No, he has a goal in the first game.
Okay.
No. Last night you had Trocheck on a deflection. You had Zibanejad and Roslovic and K'Andre Miller.
Yeah.
So
K'Andre Miller's playing pretty good
Yeah.
last night, correct?
K'Andre Miller has been better. Yes. And they've been, and Trouba as well, where people the last couple of weeks have kind of been on Jacob Trouba and K'Andre Miller's defensive coverage, which have been valid concerns. Like, they were really bad. They have kind of tightened it up and been better. And they got stuck out there last night pretty long in the last 2 minutes, the two of them as the pair, and they played quite a lot in there. And they did well. Speaking of Jacob Trouba, if you go on to our MYPB Instagram page, you need to check out his comment. It's in our story last night where he says, it was good 2 points. It's not, you don't get 2 points in the playoffs. So into it that he forgets kind of where he is. One other thing with Panarin that has been interesting, he's been way more physical than he is, and a lot of it has been with TJ Oshie. I would have to think that if I was Spencer Carberry, seeing what I've seen here in the first 2 games, part of their game plan to try and not allow Artemi Panarin to gain his confidence, which is what he's really trying to do in the playoffs here, is to be physical with him to try to combat that. And I'm impressed that Panarin has fought back. There were a couple times last night. He also kind of got his, and it wasn't a penalty, but Panarin got pretty physical on a hit with Oshie that Oshie skated off. I'm sure he's going to be fine. It didn't look that bad. But seeing Panarin be physical, I think, is really good. I mean, I don't want him getting in fights. He's not the sort of player I want dropping the gloves like Matt Rempe. Fill your role there, my man. But I do think that it is good to see. So the series shifts to DC on Friday night. You have this extra off day. And as mentioned last week, the Rangers have not, in the last 2 years, played well in DC. I was down there for 2 of those games. I was there in the 4-0 loss in December, which I think was the Rangers' worst game of the entire season. And then I was down there last February with my son, and they lost. I want to say they lost last February. I believe it was February 25th, 2023. I think they lost 7-4, something like that. Someone could look it up, but I think that's what it was. And they got blown out there. So the Rangers have not played well in that building. Igor has not played well in that building, and that is a concern. I do think the Rangers winning last night will probably put more Ranger fans in the building Friday night, being up to nothing, and maybe some Capitals fans saying, I don't really know that I want to go spend the money on these tickets. If I was thinking of doing so, my team is down to nothing, but maybe that'll help as well. Combat some of the fears or lack of good play in Capital One Arena down there in the nation's capital. Anything else on your end from watching game 1 or 2?
I thought we played pretty well. I thought in the second period, definitely we were, even though we were shorthanded a couple times, we were still on attack. We kept going at them, and we had like 4 or 5 shots while being shorthanded, and we even had a goal. So anytime that you can, not be,
I will take an Instagram question because I've seen it a couple times.
Yeah.
We will not rest Igor and put Quick in for a game.
Wow.
No.
Even if it's 3-0?
No. And speaking of it being 3-0, another thing I want to mention is one of the important things here going to DC for sure is if the Rangers can find a way to get through this series, the importance of having to end a series early. The Rangers typically go 6 or 7 games. If you look historically, the teams in June, right, that are still playing, the last 2 teams, or even the last team, because that's the only one you're trying to be, they will always have, and usually it is in the early rounds, a series that goes 4 or 5 games, and you are then able to rest a little bit. It doesn't take a physical toll on your body. If you look 2 years ago when the Rangers had a run to the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7 versus the Penguins was on a Sunday night, okay? Now, you had gone through, just a little refresh here, you had gone through a 7-game series.
Yeah.
You played Friday night in Pittsburgh when you had to win. You had to win to stay alive. You went back home 2 nights later, Game 7, the whole season on the line, down 3-2, tied it late, overtime. 3 days later, you were in Carolina playing games 1 and 2, and you were down 1-2 in the series because you didn't even have a chance to regroup, right? Then you went to 7 games with Carolina. Game 7 versus Carolina was on a Monday, on Memorial Day, and then game 1 was on a Wednesday.
So I feel like we talked about this last year. We rather keep the momentum going than have the long break.
No, I would in the playoffs. I would rather the break. I would 100% rather.
You want the break?
Yes.
Did we talk about this last year?
Well,
so what do you guys at home think? I think I rather have the momentum and nonstop. Rather than you get your body starts to relax and then like you get like it starts to
No, I think
emotion stays emotion.
If they can somehow find a way to end a series early, it is very important long term. Now, I understand there's implications of what you wouldn't like about of a layoff. I get that, but also at the same time, you want a break. And look at what the Rangers did also. Like the Rangers played Monday. They had a weird end of the season. The Rangers season ended Monday versus Ottawa. And the rest of the league didn't end until Thursday. So they didn't play for basically a whole week. They played Monday night, didn't play till Sunday afternoon, game 1, and they were fine. They came out okay. So you
don't want too much of a break.
No, you don't want too much of a break. And the other thing is you have to, you don't want to look past your opponent, and that's not what we're doing here. Yeah. But when because the NHL doesn't reseed, the winner of this series is going to play the winner of Carolina and the Islanders, and that series is already at 2-0. So if that series, let's say, goes 5 games or 4, it probably won't go 4. Say it goes 5 games, that other opponent is going to get a rest. You don't want to go up against an opponent. If you're going 7 games, it's not advantageous for you to go up against an opponent that just came out of a 5-game series.
True.
No chance. And no, I am not wearing the hoodie, Nikolai. Did you see this nonsense? Do you see what he's referring to?
No.
Down at the bottom, you can pull up the comment, the last one. So we did last year these post-game like recaps on Instagram right after the thing. I had forgotten all about them. To be completely honest, like I just totally forgot about it. Someone sent a message on Sunday before the game and said, "Are you going to do?" Or Sunday morning. It wasn't before the game. It was Sunday morning. Are you going to do the post-game recaps? And I didn't even think. I couldn't even remember what it was. But then it came back to me. I said, "All right." So I said, I'm going to put a poll up on Instagram, and I'll see if people want us to bring them back, like raw emotion after a playoff game. So you can either be really high or you could be like, pretty angry. So I said, all right, we're going to put up a poll. The poll came back. I don't know if you saw this. It was 98% yes, 2% no. So obviously we're doing it.
Who's the 2% saying?
So I confronted. No, hold on. It's funny because he might be watching. It shows you who votes what, right?
Yeah.
So I'm driving home from my hockey game Sunday night, and I look at the poll because I had a game after the Ranger game, and I look at the poll, and it says who it was. Now, one of them I know well. So, and I had been texting with this person. I said, "Why did you vote no?" He was so inebriated at the time, he didn't even know what he voted no on. Is what happened. So, so we did that. So anyway, I did this chat on Sunday, and full disclosure, I didn't go to the game Sunday because my daughter had a game and I helped coach. So I streamed the game completely on my phone. I watched the entire game. I didn't miss anything, but I was wearing a hoodie because the game was outside and it was cold. So I did the post-game thing right away, as I always do, in a Talercio's actually hoodie. And people went ballistic that I was wearing this hoodie. And I don't understand. Like, to me, I'm like, first off, it wasn't an inappropriate shirt. I was just wearing a hoodie. Yeah. So last night, I didn't go to game 2. We had a family event. And you had to I couldn't wear, I had to wear something decent. So I wore a flannel. And so in the post game, it's still up on our Instagram story. I was in a flannel, and people are going ballistic again about what I'm wearing on the thing. Like, what do you want me to do?
Just fashion choices.
No, what do you want me to wear?
What are some of these comments? Like, how could you wear a flannel? How could you wear a hoodie? Why are people?
I don't know.
Maybe
do people
you should
care?
do it in a bathing suit.
No, I'm not. But I just don't understand why people. First off, I can understand if maybe in this day and age, because we live in a day and age where people have short fuses and get offended at anything and everything, right?
Yeah.
Me wearing a hoodie from a deli that we did a promo with, which is awesome, by the way.
What's wrong with that?
What was wrong with that? And I was literally in just a basic and people are going nuts on the stupid comments.
I like this comment.
What's that? Wear whatever you want. You look good, my man. Same with you, Dougie Sticks. Thank you. Dougie Sticks is rocking. Now, you know it's playoff time around here when Dougie Sticks is wearing anything Ranger related.
Yeah.
You won't catch Dougie Sticks in the Undefeated Media Studios wearing anything Ranger related unless it's playoffs.
So it's a totally different season. Totally different season. It's tough. I must admit, it's tough to watch every game in the regular season. But when playoff comes around, it's a totally different season.
Yeah, I just find it funny. Like, I try to make sure all the content is in there, and people are more focused on. I am the last person that has anything fashion based on.
So it's gonna be tough with the Instagram because we can't go back to the comments. But on Facebook and YouTube, why don't you guys put in the comments what you think Jeff should wear in his next post game?
Well, hold on. There is a chance game 3 on Friday night. I might be at the game in DC. There's a 50-50 chance.
Well, you might have to bring another set of clothes for your post game.
I'll put on a flannel. I'll put on my lucky flannel. And Nikolai with his wonderful Jeff Kretzky comment. I'm not even gonna go there.
Do you before you change subject? Do you have a piece of clothing or attire that's like your go-to good luck charm?
Nope, none.
So not even playing either. Like these are my special shorts or my sneakers or
nothing.
This is the underwear I haven't washed, and now we've won.
Nothing.
Nothing.
No. On the Instagram chat, PK Subban is saying that there is a chance that Artemi Panarin should be suspended for that hit. I would say no.
PK was saying some radical stuff last night. The one that got me was he almost cursed you. He was like, yeah, it's like 3-0. If the Rangers blow this, I don't know what, he's like, trying to curse you guys. I was like, dude, shut up, man. You can't say that shit out loud.
No, well, we don't really listen to PK a lot, but I do not think you will see PK Subban get suspended. It also wasn't penalized. It wasn't that bad. And if you think about what the NHL Department of Player Safety and Discipline goes on a lot, is players' track records, right? And so Artemi Panarin does not have a track record of being anyone who is there. Why don't we put up Samuel's comment, which I like, which is that Subban is a moron. Yes. There's not a lot of, I would say this about PK Subban. He's a love-hate guy. Like, either you really like PK Subban or you don't, but the vast majority don't. And as Samuel just said right there, which is a good point, PK Subban should have been suspended for all the slew footing he did when he played. Look at Sammy Blaise injury that he was totally accountable for. I mean, PK Subban is not really the person who should be
not a model citizen.
No, he's not a model citizen to be saying what should be suspended and what shouldn't.
Interesting.
So we shall see. Series shifts to DC on Friday night. And hopefully Matt Rempe's not in the lineup, but I'm sure he will be. All right, let's go around the league for a couple minutes. The Islanders-Carolina series. Did you see this game on Monday night?
No, there's the one game I didn't get to see.
You didn't see it?
No, I saw the Jet.
Monday night, if you're a New York sports fan, which I think we all are, like you have teams that you like in New York and maybe teams you don't like. New York sports showed you the emotional playoff highs and lows with two of its teams. You had the Knicks on Monday night, who had no business winning that game where they were down in the last minute, that I actually turned it off in total frustration and went upstairs. And then you had the Islanders that had a 3-0 lead lose. So it shows you that both games are never over till it's over. But in particular, the Islander game, the Islanders go up 3-0 and played. I mean, it needs to be talked about, and it is being talked about, but it's not being talked about enough. They basically they stopped playing. They just started playing defense. And you can't, versus Carolina, who has so many weapons, expect to not, like, you can't just dump the puck for 2 straight periods. And Carolina scores. The score is 3-2. The Islanders are hanging on for dear life. Carolina pulls the goalie right under the 3-minute mark. Carolina ties the game at 3, and then literally 9 seconds later scores the go-ahead goal to win 4-3. That is about as well, I don't want to say it because the Rangers will find a way, but I'll say it to prove me wrong. That is about the worst way you could lose a playoff game you could imagine. You're on the road. You're down 1-0. You have a 3-0 lead trying to get a split and go back home. And any Islander fan will tell you that if you could get a split in Carolina and go home 1-1, that's fine. Like, you would rather be up 2-0, but 1-1's fine. And they just, I don't know. I don't know how the Islanders now recover from that. I mean, if you lose, so you have two options, right? Well, you have two scenarios. You lose on Thursday and you're down 3-0, the series is over because you're not beating Carolina 4 in a row. You almost have to have a chance. If I'm the Islanders and I'm trying to like map out a way I can do it, I think you'd have to win both at home, because you can't go down 3-1. You can't go down Carolina and be down 3-1. You'd have to go 2-2 and hope somehow you get to game 7. Win one of either 5 or 6 and then just hope in game 7.
Yeah, the only thing they got going in this situation was that both those games were away. So like, you were just trying to steal one. But you now know that you have the capability of scoring on them and playing well. You were up 3-0. Now you just got to play a full game.
Yeah. I was on a podcast playoff preview show on Friday night. And there was an Islander person on there. I won't mention names. And I will say this, like, the enthusiasm was so high that on Monday when they lost that, and I thought about this person, I just thought, like, you must be like you must be breaking stuff to lose a game like that.
Yeah, that's pretty depressing.
And as someone is saying in the Instagram chat, which is right, it was 40 minutes of back check hockey. What are you doing? You can't play like that at all. Like, you're just asking for trouble.
You don't have to run up the score, but you got to play offense. You can't just
right. You can't get hurt. I mean, it's basic 101, right? People forget this in hockey. If I have a lead and the puck is in the other team's defensive zone, I can't lose, right? They can't score from there. But if I'm just going to dump and chase and let them come at my net when they need to score, I don't understand. It was weird. And as Samuel was saying, the Islanders can't recover. Game 2 meltdown was really funny. I mean, it couldn't have happened to a better franchise. Although, actually, maybe I could think of a better franchise, but I like my executive producer sitting in the corner who's a Devil fan. But I just, like, I don't know how you recover from that. And now you could see a situation where they're just so deflated that they just don't show up on Thursday and go down 3-0. And obviously, if they go down 3-0, it's done.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, like I said before, the only thing that they have going in that situation is that both those games were away. So, like, you were hoping to steal one, whatever. Your away
you haven't lost the home game yet, I guess. We'll pull up Mike's comment. Let's go to the top one and go back to PK's. PK is right about the NHL protecting players, but he's wrong about the head being the primary point of contact. It's two separate arguments, really, and that is correct. And then his other point down below is that PK's point is the head that was contacted at all, but it doesn't take into consideration such as player height, ducking, etc. And that's a great point, because also that would bring up the whole Rempe discussion with Bastian, right? When that whole thing happened back in February, where Bastian was like, almost 2 feet smaller than him. So the point of contact, elbow to head, it's, the elbow is in the head because that's equal in terms of where they are in the height. So yeah, the Islanders series 2-0. I mean, you feel bad. You don't feel bad for them, but my God, how do you lose that game? I wouldn't want to be in the locker room or the team playing with Patrick Waugh after that game. He's probably murdering people, that guy. Last night, Florida, I believe I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. That was the first overtime game in general in the NHL playoffs.
Yes.
Last night goes 2-2. And I turned it on and I said, please just do not go to like 4 overtimes, because I'll end up staying up watching it. And it ended early with Verhey scoring again for Florida. Both those games have been close. That series, to me, if Tampa can win game 3 in Tampa, certainly could still be a long series. If it doesn't and it's 3-0, it's not. But that series is close, as a lot of people predicted, as we said it would be. So, yeah, that series right there has been very good. I'm surprised at the Boston-Toronto series.
Yeah.
Game 1, Boston ran Toronto out of the TD Bank. Is that what it's still called, B-Rock? Is it still the TD Garden Center? I think TD Garden. Used to be the Fleet Center when I lived in Boston. The TD Garden, they ran the Maple Leafs out of there. Like, I mean, ran them out of there. That game was awful. And the NHL, to have that be your Saturday night game that was not a good fit at all, because it was never a game. In game 2 the other night, it's 0-0. A guy on Toronto, I can't remember the defenseman's name, took arguably the dumbest. It was like a Rempe kind of penalty, just stupid. Behind, the play's over and he just decks a guy for no reason. Boston to the power play scores. Boston is even up 2-1 in the second. They find a way to lose. Toronto ends up winning on an Austin Matthews goal 3-2. I'm shocked that series closed because I just think Boston's a much better team. We'll see tonight. That is actually probably the best NHL game tonight, which is game 3 up in Toronto.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how that series is going to go.
Yeah.
I still like Boston in it because I think Boston will get it. I think if Boston gets a split in Toronto, they'll be fine. And Boston plays well in Toronto historically. I still like Boston, but I'm surprised that that series is even close. Go ahead.
In the last couple of years, Toronto have had more playoff experience in rain, right? So they're more experienced in the playoffs the last few years, correct?
Well, yeah. Well, let's take a logistical question from Nikolai real quick, which is cue the horse. If the Rangers and Carolina sweep, do we have to wait for the entire second round to end? When is round 2 slated to start? I believe you do, because I think what also happens is like the next round of referees are not announced until the current round is over. And I think for TV ratings, like if you knew there could potentially be a game 7, right, you wouldn't put a round 2 game on that. So I think you would wait. I wouldn't mind the break. Look, I would love for them to be in the situation, but I'm still of the mindset that the Rangers will find a way for this series to go 7. Out west, man, did Dallas get screwed? They're having to play Vegas in the first round. The Vegas, the salary cap avoidant team that they are. Vegas the other night beat Dallas, and I watched most of this game. And the thing that would worry me if I'm Dallas is that I felt like Dallas played well, right? It's not like they lost and they didn't play well. They played well and they still lost to Vegas. And now you have game 2 in Dallas tonight. That to me, like Dallas needs to win. You cannot go back to Vegas down 2-0. If you do and you get beat by Vegas, man, what a frustrating way for them to end. I don't want to get into that. They're only down 1-0, but I mean, you've got to find a way to win tonight if you're Dallas. The Kings and the Oilers. This I said last week that I think the Oilers are going to win the series pretty quick, and game 1 would make you think that I might be right on that. I think the Oilers can win tonight, and I think the Oilers maybe get a split in LA and end the series in 5. And again, the Oilers are a team out west that is not getting as much coverage as they should be. Last night in Vancouver, Nashville evens the series. Thatcher Demko is hurt. And if you remember Louis Domingue, that didn't go well in Vancouver last night. You have to put the favorite now in that series to Nashville. They're going home, and Vancouver's goalie might be out the whole series. I mean, how is Nashville not a favorite? And I picked Nashville in 6 in that series. Even before the goalies were hurt. So I'm going to stick with that pick. The other game, last night, Colorado evens up the series with Winnipeg. Did you watch game 1? Did you see this the other night?
Yes. I watched at least the first 2 periods, and I was just back. And the first period was 3-3.
3-3, yeah. So I had a game, a beer league game Sunday night at 8. So I missed the beginning of the game. And I was driving home and I looked at the score and I was like, what in the world is going on here? Especially with Connor Hellebuck. Colorado ties the series last night. This series to me, I've said the whole time, I think is going 7 because I just think it's back and forth. I think it's going to be punch for punch and who can throw the last punch in Winnipeg in game 7. I really do. And I think Connor Hellebuck has got to find his game. So a couple comments in the chat. We do not need to rush Hedel. Heard he was game ready. If you're going to bring back Hedel, and I am not of the camp that you should, but if you are going to bring back Philip Hedel, now is not the time. You don't need him right now. You're up 2-0. That's not a matter of disrespect or a overconfident boast or claim, because if you remember, the Rangers were up 2-0, winning 2 road games at the Devils last year. We all know how that ended. But I would not bring it up. Just to take an Instagram question: is Lavi at the moment in time the coach to get us through to the finals and manage the team in fatigue and recovery? Yes, I would say that Laviolette certainly is. Laviolette has a ton of playoff experience. I think Peter Laviolette did a really good job this year at managing the team as a whole. So I would say he is the right person to manage that, because it's also like, dependent, as we talked about before, how you end series. If you end it early, if you don't end it up early, rest and fatigue and all that stuff plays in. I would like to think that with Peter Laviolette's experience, in fact, that he's done this for 20-something years, he would be the right person to do it. So
Mhm.
let's take some other comments. Rangers game 5. If the Rangers are up 3-1, bring Hedel in. No. I'm going to disagree with you on that one, Chris. Mike, remember Kreider hit Price and Habs used Tokarski? Yep, I do remember that. Dustin Tokarski. I was at the game. So the Rangers went up 2-0 in Montreal. This was 10 years ago, which is how time flies. I was at game 3. They played the Canadiens at home up 2-0. They were down. Kreider tied the game late in the third and it went to overtime and they lost. And I remember walking out of the Garden that night. That might have been the quietest I ever heard MSG. When you walk out of the Garden after an overtime loss, you literally can hear yourself whisper.
That's crazy.
It was bizarre.
Yeah.
That was not cool. But yes, I do remember that. So yeah, some great series. If you're the Rangers, I would say this. If you could sign right now for a split in DC, either win game 3 or game 4 and come home with game 5 at home, would I sign for that? Probably yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I would.
I just feel like we played great last game until the very, very end. We kind of still took our foot off the gas. We just keep the foot on the gas. I think we, go in there and show them who's boss.
Yes. But we'll see. The Rangers have not played well in DC. The other thing with game 3, super important point before we'll leave. Whenever you are on the road in game 3, so that means it is your opponent's first home game.
Yes.
You have to weather the first 10 minutes because you've got the crowd energy is all into it. The team feeds off of it. The home team feeds off of it. It will be super important for the Rangers to weather the storm early. If the Rangers are going to win game 3, you've got to get out of the first 10 minutes and can't have any, you've got to not allow anything bad to happen in the first 10 minutes.
We got to come up with a name for that first 10 minutes. The Twisted 10.
Twisted 10. Something like that.
Got to get through the Twisted 10.
We'll take away from the Rangers, away from the playoffs question. I like this from Fire Art on Instagram. Do you have a view on the whole Utah situation playing out? The Utah situation to me is sad. It's sad because Phoenix is such a good market and a major metropolitan city. I like Phoenix. Like, I've been there for work. It's a place that actually has meaning for me for my real job. I like the city, though. To see them lose a franchise is frustrating, I think, for the league. Like, you wouldn't want that. However, the situation that they had there where they're playing in Mullet Arena, it's not an NHL situation, right? It's not. And if the NHL and the voters of Phoenix, from what I understand, it was put to like a county vote, can't come to an agreement, I'm not sure you can just continue to keep the product there. Like, at some point with any franchise, there has to be a rock bottom where you say, okay, now I need to do something and make a move. I think it'll do well in Salt Lake. Like, I actually put a deposit down for season tickets last week for the Utah, just thinking it would be cool to have. I'm sure I won't get selected because they'll see that I have, I have a New Jersey address. But I was like, I'll put a deposit down. It's refundable if you don't get it. I think it'll succeed there because it is kind of a winter market, right? You also have people in the hockey season that vacation out there for skiing. So you have that draw as well. They already have the arena set, the Delta Center, which is where the Jazz play. And I've been there for work, actually, the Delta Center. It's nice. The downtown area of Salt Lake is fine. I think it'll work, but I do think it's sad, but like it had to happen. We will take Chris's comment and then we'll let it go because it's for Dougie Sticks. Does Dougie Sticks have a thought on Winnipeg scoring 7 in the playoffs more times than the Jets in the last 13 years?
Well, I mean, I saw that meme as well. It's pretty pathetic stat. I mean, it's crazy that the Jets haven't scored 7 points in the playoffs for the last 13 years. But we're hoping that changes this year.
Do you want to talk about your Zach Wilson trade? Speaking of the Jets,
I mean, yeah, good luck to Zach. It's another quarterback that from the New York area that we let down because we don't put the proper training and coaching into these young quarterbacks. Kid got into a bad situation. I'm not saying he's a great quarterback, but I don't think like him. It's my buddy Sam Donald. I'm sure these guys they're not getting the proper tender loving care that they should be getting. So yeah, but I will say this: I've been harping on the Jets to change the logo. Their old, the logo they've had the last few years of that green football that just says Jets is terrible. So every time they post, I'm like, change your logo. Finally, they listened. And now the new logo is basically the retro logo, a new version of the retro logo.
Okay.
So they finally listened in that front.
Cool.
Maybe it'll help them in the playoffs.
We'll put up Lindy Nikolai's question. I'll take that one. Lindy Ruff to Buffalo thoughts. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. So I said, and Chris is watching, I said to Chris last week that I thought Lindy Ruff was going to go to Buffalo. I just thought it made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually saw Dan Rosen last week, and he had said to me a couple other names that made more sense. Look, I think it's for sentimental reasons. It's a good fit, but I don't think that I don't love it. But I'll tell you this. Lindy Ruff is going to go into a team up there that has some talent. Devin Levy is a young and upcoming goalie. Mm-hmm. You have Thompson, obviously. You have some other guys. It's not a bad team. What would concern me, or just the overall concern, is that division is difficult, right? You've got Florida in there. You've got Boston. You've got Toronto. It's a hard division. Not that the Metropolitan Division is any easier, but we shall see. But that's my thought. Lindsay should never have been fired. Yeah, I'm sure that'll go real well with our executive producer, Brian, sitting there in the corner when he sees that comment. Let me look at Instagram, see if there's anything. Nope. So we will wrap it up there. Again, check out the bamboozleproject.com. Use promo code MYPB. Save yourself 20% off your entire order. We thank DraftKings as well. Rangers Game 3 is in D.C. on Friday night, and then we'll stay in D.C. Sunday night. The Sunday night game is late. It's an 8 o'clock start, which is annoying. And then they will return home, if necessary, on Wednesday. We are back to our Tuesday slot, I believe, next week. We're back on Tuesdays, which will work. We may do some finagling through the playoffs to make, it kind of match up with some of the games. So we will, and last, we'll take a Kate's question. How does your producer not fire your co-host? B-Rock, you're getting some hate here
Good
in the
people
Instagram.
Are hard to find, guys.
You,
Good people are hard to find nowadays.
Poor B-Rock. You know what? B-Rock shows up today. He's got his Devils hat on.
Like a champ.
He does. He sits here. He has to produce a Ranger show, right? He's a huge Devil fan. So he's got to now sit here. He's got to now sit here and deal with this. And he sits here in the corner, just minding his own business, that he's getting
with a
rocked.
good attitude, with a good spirit.
And
he
Kate
chimes in every once in a while.
And Kate is rocking him. I love it. I love it. And B-Rock just sits here like he just stands in the corner in his Devil's hat. Like he is. Nikolai, last question. I'll take that. I think Gerard Gallant gets a job again, 100% in the league. Look, he had a bad second year in New York, but if you look at the Gerard bump, as we always call it, the pregnancy bump, the first year, there will be a team at some point that takes him on. So, and we should continue this Kate B-Rock rivalry next week.
Wow.
I like it.
Jeez.
Poor guy.
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a little food.
Oh, we'll see. Well, I got to think this. I know where you're going.
We don't do the contest.
Yes,
today. I'm saying
we'll do some
TS Ma's open.
TS Ma's open in New Jersey. Yes. Is B-Rock in the corner with his golf bag like his team? Stop, guys. No, not. We like B-Rock. We like him. We want him to come back. We like him. Yes. Poor guy. B-Rock took advantage of the Chipotle benefit.
Yeah,
that we told you about on Monday.
They gave it to people wearing Devils jerseys.
Stop. Yes, they did. They gave it to, so it was a nice
just
thing.
One
day. I don't know why they did it the way they did it, but they did. So I came in with a Ranger jersey, and I thought it would be like, I got to be careful how I say this. I thought, right, the Rangers were up 1-0 at the time. They'd won.
You get more food? You won the President's Cup or something special?
No. I thought somebody in Chipotle, one of the 8 people that were standing there would say, let's go Rangers. Oh, you get buy one, get one free. No one said nothing.
You had to bring it up to their attention?
No one said
nothing. By the
way,
I heard. Oh, shit, he remembered.
I got people are talking about the flannel again on the Instagram chat. No, Adam, no flannel today. They didn't say anything until you rang up your receipt, and then they obviously hit some promo button.
Yeah.
But they should have advertised it more, right? I feel like
they should.
The free food. No. So Game 3, Friday night in DC. I may be there. I will not be in the flannel if I'm there. I promise you. And then What were you saying?
But that counts if you go to the game
Mm-hmm.
and you take a picture with Jeff and you put it on your Instagram story, you get a Dunkin' gift card, right?
That's true. Okay, we could do that.
Yeah.
We could do that if you're in
You gotta
DC.
if you find Jeff and take a picture, you don't have to be.
No, you
with
can
him.
find me.
If
You know
find
why?
him in the
You
stands,
know why you can find me?
because you'll be next to like a hot
Nope.
dog stand.
Nope. Because I'll be the only guy in a flannel in the whole arena.
Oh.
That's it. Thank you guys for listening. We will talk to you next week.